Imagine this. You're holding a glass of water. At first, it feels light. But the longer you hold it, the heavier it feels. Eventually, your arm aches. The only way to find relief is to put it down. Our worries, regrets, and fears are just like that glass. The longer we hold on, the heavier they become. Today, we're diving into The Art of Letting Go by Nick Trenton, a book that teaches us how to release the burdens we were never meant to carry, and finally live lighter, freer, and at peace. Chapter 1. The Art of Letting Go. Let's begin with the foundation, the starting point for all inner peace. Nick Trenton opens this chapter with wisdom borrowed from Stoic philosophy. The Stoics taught us something incredibly simple, yet life-changing: the dichotomy of control. According to this idea, everything in life falls into just two categories. The first category, things we can control. These are our choices, our words, our daily actions, and the effort we put into life, how we respond to people. Whether we wake up early or not, whether we choose kindness or cruelty, this sphere is entirely ours. No one can take it away. The second category, things we cannot control. These include other people's opinions, their moods, the past that has already happened, and random events like traffic, weather, or sudden setbacks. The problem: most of us live backward. We spend hours, days, even years worrying about things that are completely outside our control. We stress about whether people like us, about how they interpret our words, about mistakes from 5 years ago that we can never change. We curse the rain, complain about traffic, or feel bitter about events that we had no power to stop. This is why so many of us remain restless, because when your mind is tied to what you cannot control, you are handing over your peace to the outside world. The Stoics say, freedom begins with a question, a simple one: is this in my control? If the answer is yes, then act, take responsibility, do your best. If the answer is no, then release, let it go. Free yourself from the unnecessary burden. Nick then gives us two powerful mental tools to make this easier in daily life. The first tool, non-judgmental thinking. Most of us have a habit of labeling everything immediately. We call the rain bad weather. We call a delay a disaster. We call a person's silence rudeness. But these judgments add an extra layer of suffering. The Stoics suggest something different. Just notice things as they are. Don't rush to label. Don't attach a story. Rain is not bad. It is simply rain. A delay is not the end of the world. It's just time passing differently than you expected. This shift in perspective reduces unnecessary drama. Imagine you miss a bus. Instead of thinking, "This is terrible, my whole day is ruined," you simply say, "I missed the bus." That's it. That clarity prevents emotions from spiraling. The second tool, self-distancing. This means stepping outside of yourself for a moment and observing your thoughts and emotions as if they belong to someone else. You create a little bit of space between you and your feelings. For example, instead of saying, "I'm anxious, I can't handle this," you say, "There I am, feeling anxious. There I am, overthinking." Suddenly, the feeling is not your identity. It's just an experience happening to you. It's like watching yourself on a movie screen. You see a character going through fear, stress, or anger, and because you're watching from a distance, you don't get pulled in. You can respond with more wisdom and calmness. Think about it. How different would life feel if you practice these two habits every day? Instead of judging, you notice. Instead of drowning in emotions, you step outside them. Instead of clinging to what you can't control, you let go. Nick reminds us, letting go is not weakness. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose to focus your energy where it actually matters. You stop fighting battles you can never win, and instead, invest in the only thing you truly own: your actions, your choices, your effort in this moment. That, he says, is the art of letting go. Chapter 2. Breaking the Chains of Negativity. Nick begins this chapter with a striking reminder. The heaviest chains are not around our wrists or ankles. They don't come in the form of metal or iron. Instead, they live in our minds. And the most powerful of these invisible chains is the voice of our inner critic. That inner critic whispers quietly, yet constantly. It says, "You're not good enough. You'll never get it right. Everyone else is smarter, stronger, more successful than you. Look at them, and look at you." It is a voice built on comparison, perfectionism, and fear. This inner critic has no interest in truth. Its job is not to motivate you, but to keep you small, chained, and doubtful. Sometimes, this voice even pretends to be helpful, like when it says, "Don't try. You'll just fail." It sounds like protection, but in reality, it's a prison. Nick spends time explaining one of the biggest traps this critic sets for us: perfectionism. Perfectionism is the belief that everything must be flawless. Every action, every word, every outcome must be without mistake. On the surface, it can look like high standards, but in reality, it's an impossible standard, one no human can ever reach. Because flawlessness is an illusion. No matter how much we prepare, no matter how careful we are, life is messy. Mistakes happen, plans fall apart. Human beings are imperfect by nature, and when we fall short, which we inevitably will, the perfectionist within us doesn't forgive. It punishes. It tells us, "See, you failed again. You're worthless." Instead of learning from the mistake, we sink into shame. Nick offers us an alternative: excellentism. Instead of aiming for perfect, aim for excellent. This means doing your best with the tools, energy, and time you have right now. It means giving your full effort, while also leaving space for growth, error, and learning. When you embrace excellentism, you don't collapse when something goes wrong. You see mistakes as part of the process, not as proof of your inadequacy. You realize that good enough and growing is far healthier than perfect or nothing. But perfectionism is not the only chain. Another strong one is attachment. We cling. We cling to possessions, the car, the phone, the house. We cling to identities, our job title, our achievements, our role in a group. We cling to relationships, a partner, a friend, even a version of ourselves that no longer exists. The inner voice says, if I lose this, I lose myself. And so, instead of enjoying what we have, we grip it with fear. But the tighter the grip, the more fragile we become. When life inevitably shifts, when something slips away, the pain doubles, because we believed we couldn't survive without it. Nick suggests the practice of non-attachment. Now, non-attachment does not mean coldness. It does not mean you stop caring, or stop loving, or stop enjoying. In fact, it's the opposite. Non-attachment means you appreciate things more deeply, because you know they are not permanent. It's holding life with open palms, not clenched fists. Imagine holding water. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. But when your palm is open, the water rests gently. You can enjoy it without fear. Non-attachment gives you resilience. You can love fully, but you also know you will survive if change comes. You can own possessions, but not let possessions own you. Nick also warns about a quieter, but equally dangerous chain: toxic inputs. Think about your media diet. Just as your body becomes what you eat, your mind becomes what you consume. What you scroll, watch, and listen to shapes your mental environment every single day. If your daily diet is filled with negativity, endless outrage news, online arguments, social media comparison, toxic entertainment, don't be surprised when your thoughts mirror that same chaos. If you feed your mind poison, your inner world will eventually feel poisoned. Instead, Nick challenges us to become intentional about what we let in. Choose inputs that lift you up, that inspire, that educate, that bring calm instead of panic. It doesn't mean avoiding reality. It means refusing to bathe your mind in noise and drama every waking hour. Nick closes this chapter with a simple reflection exercise. Ask yourself, which voices do I allow into my mind daily? Do they lift me up, or do they chain me down? Are they building me, or breaking me? Because breaking free from negativity is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about shifting the way you treat yourself and the way you feed your mind. It means replacing self-punishment with self-compassion. It means replacing toxic inputs with nourishing ones. It means loosening your grip and learning to hold life lightly. Chapter 3. The Growth Mindset. After breaking the chains of negativity, Nick now shifts the focus toward cultivating growth. At the root of overthinking, he explains, is fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of failure, fear of change. This fear is not just occasional, it shapes how we live. Many of us walk through life quietly repeating a dangerous belief: if I fail, then I am a failure. It's subtle, but powerful. If you miss a deadline, you don't just think, I made a mistake. You think, I'm incompetent. If your relationship ends, you don't just say, it didn't work out. You say, I'm unlovable. The mind fuses temporary setbacks into permanent self-identity. This is where the growth mindset comes in. The growth mindset changes the story completely. Instead of saying failure is who I am, it says, failure is feedback. It's not the end of the road. It's a signpost pointing the way forward. Failure becomes not a label, but a lesson. Not proof of your limits, but evidence of your progress. Nick illustrates this with a simple story. Two artists submit their paintings to a gallery. Both are rejected. The first artist says, "I'm clearly not talented enough. I'll never make it." She puts away her brushes, and slowly, her dream fades. The second artist feels the same sting of rejection, but interprets it differently. She thinks, "This is feedback. My work isn't ready yet. But that means I have room to grow." She goes back, studies, refines her style, and submits again. The difference between these two artists is not raw talent. It's mindset. One sees rejection as a final verdict. The other sees it as part of the journey. Nick explains that letting go is not just about releasing external worries. It's also about releasing the belief that you must already be perfect. Perfection says, "If I'm not good enough now, I'll never be good enough." Growth says, "I am a work in progress. Every mistake, every setback, every stumble is shaping me into something greater." Think of a child learning to walk. We don't see a baby fall and say, "Walking isn't for you. You're just not cut out for it." We understand that falling is part of learning. Yet when we grow older, we lose this patience with ourselves. We forget that growth takes trial and error. To help with this process, Nick introduces a very practical technique: brain dumping. When your mind feels like a spinning wheel, full of tasks, worries, half-finished ideas, it's easy to get paralyzed. Instead of moving forward, you stay stuck in mental clutter. The solution? Empty it all out. Take a piece of paper or a blank page on your device and just write. Write every thought that comes to mind, tasks you need to do, problems you're worried about, random ideas, fragments of sentences, even things that don't make sense. Don't filter, don't judge, don't try to organize. Think of it like tipping over a drawer and spilling everything onto the floor. Once your thoughts are on the page, the storm is no longer inside you, it's outside, where you can see it. And now comes the second step: sorting. Nick suggests 3 simple moves. 1. Circle what's actionable. These are the tasks you can do something about today or soon. They deserve your focus. 2. Cross out what's useless. Many thoughts don't need attention at all. Worries about what others think, random fears, impossible scenarios, strike them out. 3. Note what can wait. Some thoughts matter, but not right now. Put them aside for later so they don't drain your current energy. Suddenly, what felt like chaos turns into a clear map. What felt like heavy noise becomes structured, light, and manageable. Instead of clinging to every thought as if it were life or death, you create distance. You recognize that not everything in your head deserves your full attention. This technique reinforces the heart of the growth mindset. Letting go is not a loss. It is creating space for what matters next. When you release perfectionism, you make room for progress. When you release fear of mistakes, you make room for learning. When you release mental clutter, you make room for clarity. The growth mindset whispers, you don't need to have it all figured out today. You just need to keep growing. Chapter 4. Psychological strategies for letting go. Up to this point, Nick has shown us the importance of letting go and introduced tools to quiet the critic, embrace growth, and loosen the grip of fear. But here, he takes us a layer deeper into the psychology of release. He explains that much of what keeps us stuck are not single thoughts, but self-scripts, the hidden, repetitive stories we tell ourselves about who we are. They sound like this: I always mess up. I'm unlucky in love. I'm not smart enough for that. Good things don't happen to me. These are not objective truths. They are mental recordings, grooves carved into the brain over years of repetition. And the more we rehearse them, the deeper those grooves dig. Eventually, the brain runs along them automatically, as if on autopilot. We don't even realize it's happening. A minor mistake becomes proof I always fail. A rejection becomes confirmation I'm unlovable. The script takes over the story. To let go, Nick says, we must learn to rewrite these scripts, and psychology gives us powerful methods to do this. The first is called externalization, a practice borrowed from narrative therapy. Normally, when we feel a negative emotion, we fuse it with our identity. We say, I am anxious, I am depressed, I am broken. But externalization teaches us to create distance. Instead of saying I am anxious, we say, anxiety is visiting me right now. Do you hear the difference? One makes it who you are, permanent, defining. The other makes it a temporary experience, like a guest at your door. If it's a guest, then it's not the owner of the house. It's not permanent. It doesn't define the foundation of who you are. It's simply passing through. This small shift gives us power, because if it's a visitor, then it can leave. Imagine a storm outside your window. You don't say, "I am the storm." You say, "There is a storm right now." In the same way, you don't have to make every difficult thought your identity. Another powerful method is reframing. Reframing doesn't change the facts. It changes the way you interpret them. A breakup can be framed as the end of my happiness, but it can also be reframed as the beginning of rediscovering myself. Losing a job can be framed as proof that I'm worthless, or it can be reframed as a chance to realign with my values and pursue work that actually fits me. The external event is the same. What changes is the meaning we attach to it, and meaning makes all the difference in how much we suffer. Think of two people stuck in traffic. One sees it as torture, time wasted, proof that the world is against them. The other sees it as a rare pause, a chance to listen to music, call a loved one, or just breathe. Same situation, but two completely different experiences. That is the power of reframing. Nick reminds us of a crucial truth. Thoughts are not commands. We tend to treat every thought as an instruction, as if it must be obeyed. You're not good enough. Don't even try. This will never work. But thoughts are not orders. They are more like clouds passing across the sky. You can notice them, even watch them, without grabbing hold of every single one. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean it deserves to guide your day. To make this practical, Nick suggests a reflection exercise for the next time a negative script arises. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Is this fact, or is this assumption? Am I looking at reality, or just repeating a story I've told myself? 2. Does holding on to this thought serve me? Does it help me grow, or does it chain me down? 3. How would I see this if I step back as an observer? If I were watching myself as a character in a film, how would this situation look from the outside? These questions cut through the automatic power of old scripts. They allow you to pause, breathe, and choose a new interpretation. Nick closes with a simple but profound reminder. Our deepest suffering often doesn't come from life itself. It comes from the stories we attach to life. Life gives us events, the mind adds meaning. Life gives us facts, the mind writes scripts. Letting go is not erasing your past. It is learning to edit the stories you tell about it, and in doing so, rewriting your future. Chapter 5. Moving beyond the hurt. Up to this point, Nick has shown us how to release fear, negativity, and old stories. But now, he turns to the heaviest weight of all. The pain caused by others. Betrayals, rejections, toxic relationships, words that cut deep. Wounds we carry for years. Nick writes, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Think about that. Resentment feels powerful in the moment, like a shield protecting us from being hurt again. But in reality, it doesn't protect, it imprisons. The longer we grip anger, the more it burns us from the inside. To move forward, Nick says, we must loosen the grip of hurt. 1. Breaking free from toxic people. Not everyone is meant to walk with us for the entire journey. Some people are teachers of lessons, not lifelong companions. Yet many of us cling to toxic relationships, friendships that drain us, partners who belittle us, family members who only criticize, colleagues who sabotage. We tell ourselves, maybe they'll change. Maybe if I give more, they'll give back. But the truth is, not every connection deserves to stay. Letting go doesn't always mean forgiving and continuing as if nothing happened. Sometimes, letting go means creating distance, protecting your peace, building a boundary. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone is a toxic relationship that drains your energy. You cannot run forward if you refuse to take that backpack off. Nick reminds us, you are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to love yourself enough to say, this no longer serves me. I release it. That's not cruelty. That's wisdom. 2. Forgiveness. Forgiveness, Nick explains, is one of the most misunderstood ideas. We often think forgiving means excusing bad behavior, pretending the wound never happened, or welcoming the person back into our lives. But that's not true forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past. It's about freeing yourself from being chained to it. It's standing in your pain and saying, this hurt me. It mattered. But I choose not to let it define me forever. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you. It's setting down the emotional weight so you can walk lighter. Think of it like this. If someone throws a burning coal at you, you have two choices. You can catch it and hold it, and continue to burn. Or you can drop it, and let it cool. Forgiveness is dropping the coal. It does not mean forgetting. It does not mean trusting again. It simply means refusing to carry the pain every single day of your life. 3. Perspective taking. Sometimes, Nick says, the path to letting go lies in empathy. Perspective taking doesn't excuse what happened, but it shifts how we carry it. Ask yourself, what pain might have driven this person to act the way they did? A partner who betrayed may have been acting from fear, insecurity, or emptiness. A parent who was cold may have grown up in a home where love was never shown. A friend who abandoned you may have been drowning in their own struggles. This doesn't erase your pain, but it transforms the wound from something personal into something human. Nick shares a story of a woman who resented her father for being distant in her childhood. She felt invisible, unloved, and abandoned. For years, she carried bitterness. Later in life, she discovered that her father had grown up in a home where affection simply didn't exist. He had never been hugged, never been told I love you, never seen tenderness modeled. Understanding his wounds didn't erase her hurt, but it softened her resentment. She realized his distance wasn't because she was unworthy of love. It was because he didn't know how to give it. Perspective doesn't change the past, but it changes the story we carry into the present. Author says, moving beyond her is not simple. It's not quick. Some wounds may take months, others years, even decades. There is no clock on healing, but Nick reminds us, every small step matters. Each act of release, setting a boundary, choosing forgiveness, shifting perspective, is a step toward freedom. Letting go doesn't mean the wound disappears, but it means you are no longer defined by it. So ask yourself, who in my life is draining me rather than lifting me? What pain am I still gripping as proof of who I am? Can I see the human, not just the wound, in those who hurt me? Because moving beyond the hurt is not about erasing what happened. It's about reclaiming your peace in spite of it. And with every act of letting go, the weight gets lighter, and the path ahead becomes clearer. And so, as we close the journey of the art of letting go, let's take one final breath together. This book has shown us that peace comes not from clinging, but from releasing, from choosing growth instead of perfection, compassion instead of resentment, and clarity instead of chaos. Think for a moment, what is one thing you've been carrying for too long? A regret, a fear, a grouch? Now imagine setting it down. Feel the lightness, feel the relief. That is the art of letting go. If you found value in this audiobook style summary, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. And I'll leave you with one powerful question. What is the one thing in your life that you are finally ready to let go of? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.